Hello, this is Michael Ben Jacobson coming to you on YouTube. This is just going to be like a short message about some of my commanding angels stories. I haven't really released this unless from time to time to friends, but I really haven't shared this much before about commanding angels. There's a lot of so-called experts in the world, like Kat Kerr and other people who write books on commanding angels. I'm just going to share three of my dispatches and the successes that come. Months ago, a friend of mine, Orty, who did a prophecy over America that most of my friends on Facebook ignored, and for drastic times that it can hit America next year. He did a prophetic blueprint over my life, and you can see that on my YouTube. In the blueprint video, he said that I'm going to have a whole lot of angels dispatched to me personally, and 10 minutes after I read the blueprint and went and sat down at my bus stop, the 6 million angels turned up, 2,000 commanders, and each of the 2,000 commanders are over, I think, each of the commanders are over 3,000 angels, so 6 million angels. He said I'd know the head of the angels, like the commander over the 6 million. His name was Benjamin, which I've recently changed my middle name to. I asked him, can I command you guys? And he said, you can do whatever you like. And I said, okay. The Conservative government in Australia are 3 to 4 points down for the coming election. It was Wednesday. I said, go out and speak to all the undecideds in Australia that aren't Conservative or Liberal voters, or the Democrat sort of voters in American terminology, and go and turn them and get some of the Democrat sort of liberal-sided voters and turn them to Conservative. Do what you need to, bring in a Conservative government. I wasn't so impressed with the Australian Prime Minister in the Conservative government because, I sense that he was fully in bed with the Masonic order, and like nearly every politician in the world are controlled by the Masons or are Masons themselves. Even Billy Graham was a 33-degree Mason. I've heard from several sources. So, I don't have faith in him, but the Conservatives had promised to build stadiums, and we need stadiums in Australia in the future for revival. So I commanded that, and, on the Sunday, I checked on the Sunday the next day, I didn't even watch the election, and all the reports were saying, miracle win, this must be a miracle, this is like a Trump-like win. And of course, I knew my angels had done that, and I didn't have to brag. When you're not sure of yourself, you don't have to. When you're not sure of yourself, you have to brag all the time and prove your prophecies. When you're sure of yourself, you don't have to tell anyone. The Israeli election was coming on, and I knew that Netanyahu was a nice guy, and so I sent them over to win that too, and they swung that election too. Of late, I sent 6 or 7 days ago, I did a prophecy, and I've taken it down now, but I sent an angel to warn the Australian Prime Minister that he needs to reverse the gay marriage law, the recent abortion law, and he's got to tighten the divorce laws to more like a biblical standard for divorce. It was a tough act. He'd have to come out and make major changes and do something, bring legislation. It was a tough act, but the angel said, if you don't do it, God's going to judge Australia. And you've seen, I don't know if you've seen the bushfires in Australia. In 3 days in 3 days they've burnt like heaps more, 3 times the amount of land that was burnt in 3 months in the bushfire season last year. We haven't even entered summer in Australia. So last night, Monday night, I dispatched an angel to every federal politician to say what the Prime Minister had been warned with and what had to be done, and that they should contact him and ask if he was warned and bring in changes. I woke up at 10 to 7 this morning. I was too asleep. I went back to bed to 9:30. When I woke up, people from heaven, who I'm always in communication with, said that the non-Christian federal politicians were talking amongst themselves, talking about this strange dream last night, and but they didn't contact the Prime Minister. They didn't go through with what the angel said, and so nothing's been done. Today was the worst fires that they've ever seen, and tonight, every local, state, and federal politician is going to be warned again, multiple times, more than 3 times. They're going to have 3 dreams with angels appearing and given the command that the gay legislation, the abortion legislation, and the tightening of the marriages. Basically, when they start to obey, then we're going to enact the laws of Moses in Australia, bring Australia back to a more godly nation. Another way to explain that is basically we're going to bring Sharia law in almost, but the Muslims are going to love this law. And the Muslim Sharia law is almost exactly what Moses' law, but Australia is going to become heaven on earth eventually, and it's going to become the most godly nation in the world. You don't know me. Most people watching this don't know me. I've known for years that I was going to walk in 2 witnesses anointing. I'm not the 2 witnesses. When I finish with my other partner, who's undisclosed, in 25 or 30 years, however long it takes, the 2 witnesses, Enoch and Elijah, will come back for the last 3.5 years. But what no one knows is there's 25 years worth of 2 witnesses anointing coming out. And I'm walking in that. I don't have to boast. I don't care what people think. I will tell you this: if you mock me in any way, share videos and say, this guy's mentally ill, he's crazy, believe me, I've got 1,000 assassin angels, just like the angel of death, that'll deal with people according to how they like to mock. Donald Trump has got a couple of thousand of them too working for him. There's been hundreds and thousands of deaths of people speaking out against Donald Trump. You just don't know about it. John McCain and that Elijah Cummings were both taken by angels. So I encourage you, spread this around and mock me all you like. That the angels are warning the politicians tonight. In coming days, they're going to warn every Australian pastor. And if the Australian pastors don't speak up to the politicians and speak their thing, the individual pastors that don't speak up, their churches are going to be judged too. The fact of the matter is the church is weak. The church is in bed with the Masonic order. Most of the pastors and elders in churches are Masons, and they're full of witchcraft. And so Australia, the God of Moses, is going to start pouring forth judgment. So the angels are going to go and visit the pastors, and then some of the lampstands of churches and anointings and giftings and finance and all sorts of stuff going to be stripped out of the Australian church too. Australia's going to submit. Revelation 11, it talks about the 2 witnesses dying in a spiritual place called Egypt and Sodom. Australia's Sodom, and we've got a new Moses here, and we're going to have some plagues and destruction and pestilences, just like Moses commanded. I'm just going day by day. I don't know what's happening tomorrow, but I just thought I'd share this. It's interesting that I was saying that I've become the manifestation of the 2 witnesses of Revelation 11 yesterday in Australian time on the 11th, and I was doing the passage about how I'm a Revelation 11 witness, and I'm enacting Ezekiel 34 and Jeremiah 23, and I spoke those 2 prophecies into action. Today I spoke the Malachi 4 prophecy into action. The Malachi 4 prophecy is getting done over Australia right now, and it's going to burn like an oven, like it says that. and I'm a messenger like Elijah. I'm not Elijah, but I've spent a lot of time with Elijah, and I've even interviewed Elijah and Enoch in books under Matthew Robert Payne on Amazon. So I don't really care. I've had people all my life say I'm an idiot and a fool and I'm mentally ill and I'm wrong. And so I don't really care about people's objections and problems. You can't do that. Well, I am doing that, right? I am doing that. There's going to be a lot of people die in Australia. There's a prophecy somewhere in the Bible that says 2/3 of the New Jerusalem are going to die. I believe Australia, different to Jerusalem, I believe Australia is going to be the new holy land of the world. I believe Australia is going to be more prosperous than any country in the world. I believe Australia's film industry is going to be 10 to 20 times bigger than Hollywood, putting out a whole lot more films than that. I will say that I'm sensing an earthquake coming. I'm sensing this tidal wave, a tsunami coming really soon. I'm sensing maybe some locusts and some other sort of Moses-like plagues. Maybe even Sydney Harbour might turn to blood. I'm just sensing all these things. The people of the world got to see Moses is in Australia. There's a Moses anointing, and we all know what happened to the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh, God hardened the Pharaoh's heart 10 times. But the Pharaoh was going to do it 10 times, and God made him not do it. So when you think, well, we don't want this to happen, they'll do something, the Australian government, they're not going to act. And it's just going to give us authority to just start judging Australia in a major way. Now, Bill Johnson, Chris Vallotton, Sean Bolt, they preach this false gospel that says there's no judgment in the world. They're going to come down. Their ministries are going to come down. Their finances are going to come down. So we're going to have not a revival in Australia yet. We're going to have a major judgment. And soon enough, the whole world's going to be looking on, especially if we have buildings come down more than the Twin Towers and more death. I saw that 20 years ago in a vision. The buildings in George Street, when they're coming down, I didn't know when it was going to happen. It seems like it's going to start to happen soon, maybe. Who knows? I'm not declaring that. I'm just saying if you see a major earthquake and a tidal wave and all sorts of things, just know that I'll still be alive and I'll be still standing. Elton John sort of song, I'm still standing better than I ever was. And we can build this thing together, standing strong forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. And if this world comes down before us, we'll still have each other. Nothing's gonna stop us now. So me and my girlfriend are going to minister. She doesn't know, what our role is going to be, but she seems to know who I am. And she's unnamed, and we'll be spinning people out that there's a second witness that's not being seen, and she'll just stand by my side. It won't be two males, it'll be a male and a female, and the world will have a real hard time, especially eschatology experts, especially experts on Revelation won't be able to handle a male and a female. So who knows, they might call me the Antichrist and the false prophet. Who knows? So that's just a little report. Expect things in Australia to get worse and worse, and some Moses-like plagues start to manifest. Australia's going to learn and bow to King Jesus. They're all going to bow their knees. Everyone says, every knee shall bow. Well, every knee in Australia is going to bow very soon, and that's how it's going to be. So I expect big things. I'm living day to day. I'm giving daily reports. At the moment, God's really hiding what I'm saying. People should be searching two witnesses on the internet, but they're not. There'll be hundreds of videos up there soon. And in the future, when everything has happened, people look back and say, this guy was calling it. He sort of sounds like he's the Moses. And so I've stripped off, 1,000 people from my Facebook today, and then Facebook stopped me from being able to do it. So strip off 1,000. I think I'm going to end up with 200 people I like, and then make room for people who really want to pay attention to me. I'm a little bit like Jesus from Nazareth. All my Facebook friends have grown up with me and don't know who I am and can't see who I am, can't respect who I am, and that's their issue. And, I thought Jesus had a hard time not being understood by his 12 disciples until he resurrected. And it looks the same for me. So God bless. I welcome your feedback. I warn you about mocking me in any way. God bless.